Welcome to episode 41 of Mainly Games, where we take a look at some Halloween games like The Others and Court of the Dead, and we also look at the roll and write Riverside. But then we look at a list of the 90s board games that defined a decade. Did these define a decade, or were the 90s defined by boy bands, the Mullets, Saved by the Bell, and Pauly Shore? Let's go with board games, because that's really, really scary. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 41 of Mainly Games. I'm Joey.
And I'm Alex.
And we are a podcast about mainly games.
That's it. You got it.
And this is our second time trying this because last time I had to cough really bad.
I was going to say, so I didn't know you were going to start from the beginning. I was going to say, and we're back.
I did.
But, you said it again, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to say that anymore.
I mean, we even got like a minute in, and I'm like, I can do it. And I thought, there's no way I can do this 40 minutes.
It was a big cough, too.
It was. And it was like, and then afterwards, she's like, she goes, you do that a lot. So maybe you should just not drink coffee when you do it. I'm like, well, maybe we should not record at 7 o'clock in the morning.
You know that, too.
Then it's like, I just can't do water. I mean, animals. Speaking of animals, these people that don't drink coffee.
I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how they do it.
I do not know how
either.
they do that. People say that, they drink soda. I'm like, but I'll drink a soda and still have a splitting headache because I haven't had enough caffeine. So I feel like the caffeine level in soda is not as high as coffee. I don't know. Maybe it works differently. I don't know how that stuff works. But yeah, I don't know how people do it.
I've read all these studies and things, and even people have told me that, you know what, drinking water is just as good. Drink some water. It's going to get you awake and all that. There's no chance.
No.
But maybe it's an addiction thing. Maybe I'm just addicted to caffeine. I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
For
I
you
did hear that people say that, as soon as you wake up, you should drink a bottle of water. I'm like, there's no way I could do that.
No, there's no way. Yeah, for you non-coffee drinkers, let us know exactly what you do to stay awake. Do you do these clothespins on your eyes? You just pin them open all day? That is what I would have to do without coffee.
Oh, I would too. Yeah. We were doing a game night last night, and I'm like, I could feel myself getting tired. I'm like, oh, coffee time.
Oh, and it's so funny. People that come to our house for game nights, right? That don't normally come to our house for game nights. It'll be like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and then Alex will say, "Who wants some coffee?" And the people that haven't been there before are like, "What?" It's like 11 o'clock at night. And the rest of people are like, well, I guess I'll have a cappuccino. It's just, so coffee, you just live off of coffee.
Yes.
The good news is I can drink coffee, then go to bed.
Me too. I can do the same thing. I drank a coffee last night for our game night, and I still had no problems going to sleep.
Yeah, this is...
and I actually slept through the whole night last night.
Really? Yeah. Well, this is a podcast about mainly coffee.
And sleeping.
Sleeping. I love sleeping. Oh. Okay, anyway. All right, so this podcast, we're going to talk about Black Adam. I'm just kidding, because we have not seen it.
No, we haven't. We made like 1,000 plans to see it last weekend. Still haven't seen it.
We did. Everyone in our game night has seen it. And
we know what happens.
We do. Well, some of it. Yeah, because last night they kind of, when people talk around you.
Yeah.
Because last night we played Pandemic Season 1. We'll talk about it in a second. But people were talking about Black Adam around us and saying certain things, thinking they're being cryptic. And it's like, that's now I know a lot more about it.
Because you could kind of fill in the gaps. Yeah, I felt the same way.
I intentionally went in not knowing it.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting right now. All right, some comic place released this. So they compared like the audience, because Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, came out and just like praised how much audiences are liking it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, critics just destroyed Black Adam. Okay? But listen to this. So, She-Hulk. Now, I'm not saying there's a whole Marvel versus DC thing in the media, but there's a Marvel versus DC thing in the media. Because honestly, if you are a critic and you're going to kiss up to somebody, who would you rather kiss up to? Disney, the biggest organization on planet Earth, or DC, who had Batman and Superman, who were famous ones?
Yeah.
So, anyway. All right, so She-Hulk, 87% from critics. Audience, 35%. Then that jumps into like Captain Marvel, 79% from critics, 45% from audience, which I didn't mind Captain Marvel. But then you got Man of Steel, 56% from critics, 75% from audience, which I love Man of Steel. And then Black Adam, 44% from critics, 89%
I know, that did surprise me. Yeah.
from real people. So really, that's the thing. When I go into like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, I only look at the real people reviews.
Yeah.
But
I completely agree. I will only look at critic reviews.
But even then, they're not always honest because I reviewed one. I review some things on IMDb, but one time I reviewed something and they never showed the review.
Yeah. I remember that. What movie was that?
I forgot because it was a horrible movie.
It was terrible.
And I just reviewed it and they just said, yeah, it just doesn't really fit into this. And I'm like, what? I just said nothing bad about it, but just the storyline didn't
interesting.
make any sense.
IMDb is owned by someone who, is it Amazon? Right?
I think so, yeah.
And so they can control what you see.
But this wasn't Amazon. Anyway, I don't know.
I don't know.
But,
it's interesting. Yeah.
Really, and I can't even trust my friends' reviews because I've been, so many times people telling me, hey, you got to watch Midsummer or Tusk, which both of those, if you haven't seen them, just classic family films.
I haven't seen Midsummer.
No, have you seen Tusk?
No.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. Good. All right. That's a rough one.
Okay.
All right.
Not planning on seeing either of those.
Anyway, so last night we're finishing Pandemic Season 1. We're finally having that hit the table, and I'm really liking that.
Yeah.
Although I think we're doing something wrong because we've been winning
the majority.
Yes, quite a bit more than normal.
Yeah.
But we are playing with Zev, who is with Z-Man Games. So he kind of knows a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But still.
Oh, I'm really liking it so far. I like how every year, so the first couple of years it was pretty much like just playing Pandemic, and then stuff happened. Sorry, first couple months. Right. You're right. And then some stuff happened, and now it's getting a little more complicated, and they adding some things in. I really like it.
I do too. Yeah, so I don't know. After this, might go to season 0. We hear is great. Season 2, people say is hit or miss. So, all right, so that's going on. And then tonight, we got a D&D session 0 that I'm pretty excited about. I actually canceled it, and then...
they called you this morning.
They called this morning like, hey, look, everyone's looking forward to it. Because we've got so many videos to get out and get done. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll go ahead and have it. So session 0, which is fine. It's not like you have to do a lot of prep work for session 0.
No. Do you know what I'm doing today?
Yep. She's going to Disney.
I am indeed.
Yeah, she's heading to Disney in
an hour.
Right after this podcast.
Yes.
By the time this podcast is up, she'll be driving to Disney World.
It's true.
So if you're listening to this on Thursday during the day, you can swing by Disney. They're
Come
gonna be
by.
there.
We'll be there.
Yep, you'll see them.
I don't know where we're going yet.
They'll stand out. Not that many people there.
No. It's super quiet there.
So anyway, now...
I was just Googling, by the way. I didn't realize that Disney is so much bigger than Warner Brothers. I thought
You did not realize that?
I thought maybe they were comparable.
No, Warner Brothers is two brothers. It's Kurt Warner and Rick Warner. Just kidding.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's insane.
Disney's everybody.
Oh,
Disney's,
I know. This is one thing they're saying, particularly now, and this is before they had bought Fox.
That's insane.
So Disney is that conglomerate, and it's almost like Warner Brothers, like the little second cousin that's not even invited to the Christmas dinner kind of thing.
That got dark.
Yeah,
but
you know what I mean? Yeah, I did not realize there were. I thought maybe it was Disney, then maybe 2 or 3 slots down. A couple of $1 billion. There's a difference, but no, it's not even comparable.
No, because I remember
she's crazy. I'm sorry.
My mind was blown back whenever I thought, okay, cool. Disney and ESPN. It's pretty cool that ESPN owns Disney. That's not the way it goes.
No.
Disney owns ESPN.
Yeah.
Because before you know what Disney is, you're just thinking they're this little kids company.
Yeah.
But then you realize they're just it.
They are it.
They're like it's just insane.
And they're starting to do sports betting, right?
Sports betting?
Yeah, they released something recently, I think.
I don't know.
That they're going to
on Disney Plus? Are they going to get kids into betting?
No.
Because Juliet needs to learn how to bet. She does not hedge her bets very well at all.
I know. No. I think I read something on one of those Disney blogs that Disney's trying to start getting into sports betting.
Yeah, I'd bet on the Flash.
Okay, well, that's the wrong person.
Yeah, oh, well, that's really the wrong person. I didn't say which Flash. I'm TV Flash.
Uh-huh.
So, okay.
Yeah, anyway. Wow. Okay, that's just a side note, because you were saying that, and I was like, they must be comparable. Nope, they're not.
Yeah, I need to turn off your internet during podcasts.
You do.
Okay.
I go down rabbit holes.
Big time. Big time.
People are like, does she do this other times? Yes.
Yeah, she does.
Do.
She does.
I do.
Okay, so we've got some Halloween games because...
Halloween is coming.
Halloween is coming, and our buddy's very Jacob. When we do game nights, it's everything is themed, which is fantastic.
I love that.
Because we had a couple games we wanted to play, and he's like, it's Halloween. And I'm like, hey, yeah, but we've got these we want to play and review. He's like, but it's Halloween.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, okay. Then sure enough,
Yep.
we play these, and they're great. And it even got to the point to where we had one set up, Slaughterville, which we're going to review, I think, next podcast, not this one.
Yeah.
But we had it set up. We had one guy coming, and he is not a co-op person.
He's the person, I think we mentioned this at, where was it, Gen Con? Someone was demoing him a game.
Yes, and he had the guts to, like, I wish I could do that. He's going to, at Gen Con, you just go and you hear about their games, right? And the guy's like, tell him about the games, and then he says, so this is a co-op game. He goes, did I lose you? And Kyle goes, yeah. And then he just walks away. And it's like,
I
okay.
know.
And I'm like too nice of a person.
Yeah.
I will sit there for like 20 minutes in a game that I know I'm not going to enjoy.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, there's no chance. He's just like, yeah. I mean, he's like, I don't want to waste his time or mine.
I know.
Anyway, so
I know. That
we
was kind of
skipped
funny.
the co-op when he was there. So anyway, he brought over all these Halloween games. Well, two of them, which were real big ones that I was excited to play.
Yeah.
And they are Court of the Dead and The Others.
Yes.
And both of these, they're not new games. I think Court of the Dead is 2019.
Yep.
And The Others is 2016, which
Yeah.
I did not know The Others was that old.
I did not either. I thought that was a newer game. Nope.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
It's before Eric Lang did Marvel United.
Yeah, pretty far before
I
we did
know.
what we did. I'm like,
I know.
you chose his most recent game, and you're like,
I know. I try to be funny.
It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's before we saw Eric Lang at Gen Con this year. It's weird.
Yeah, crazy how that works.
Okay, so Court of the Dead.
Yeah.
Pretty much what it is, I'll read you what it says. Everyone is already dead in the underworld, and you have to join a faction, whether it's bone, flesh, or spirit, and you work to achieve the goal of the underworld, which is to gather enough forces on the celestials of heaven and hell to end their ceaseless war. Now, pretty much it is an area control game where everyone chooses a faction. Now, your faction can be bone, flesh, or spirit. This right here, this is the one thing, and to go into it, it's area control. So you're going to choose a faction, then you're going to draft different like
Different.
I need more coffee.
How about some water?
That's a callback. Okay, so pretty much you're going to play the game, and then you draft your different miniatures, and then they go in like a normal area control. And different sides of the board are going to limit the amount of people at certain locations. So, and the control in each area is very easy. I'm going to take that out in post.
Sorry, I just knocked the microphone down with my coffee cup.
So they're going to...
Because I can keep drinking coffee because I'm not coughing. Sorry.
Not going to let that go, are you?
No.
All right. So anyway, so the area control in this is very simple. It's really, It's really the miniatures you've got in each area. It tells you whether or not you control it. Mm-hmm. And if there's two, 1-1, whoever has the tiebreaker, which is I think the devil or something. I forgot what they said. It's a tiebreaker mini, and it's who wins a tie. It is the most simple. There's not like adding different powers of this person or this person. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's now there's also some abilities you can get by when you get a mourner card is what they're called.
Yep.
And you can have different abilities with that. But that's when you can grab a mourner card and then grab that associated mini. It doesn't give that mini really much abilities, but it does give you as a player abilities. So the action phases are this. You play a court card. You can recruit a guild figure, which are the figures we talked about. And you don't have to recruit only in your faction. And that I'm going to talk about in a second. Then you recruit a mourner card, which will give you different skills and abilities and also gets you a guild figure as well. And then you get to relocate guild figures. And that's, you're always paying influence. On there are 3 different tracks, you're paying influence, and those match the guilds. And you're paying influence on where you're moving your guild figure to.
Correct.
So you could be paying bone, flesh, or spirit. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're going to move it up or down and move it wherever you want to. And then you can also activate a mourner card with a once per action phase ability. Or you could pass. So, all right, here are the big things that I got about this. It is deceiving on what it is. You see it, and you see all these gorgeous miniatures. and you're like, this is an Ameritrash game. You know, it is,
Yep,
it is,
yep.
and it is not.
No.
This is a Euro game. This is a Euro with gorgeous miniatures.
Oh my goodness, the minis are amazing in this game. I really, really liked them. Our copy was not painted, and
Yes.
I was curious why it hadn't, but I found out Jacob had sold his copy and just got this copy recently.
I think that was the others. I think this one he's had for a while.
Oh,
but
really?
then-
Okay, then.
But
You're right.
Yeah, it is. The minis are gorgeous.
Oh, they're amazing.
And the theme and the artwork is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to say overproduced
No.
because I don't like. I mean, it looks gorgeous, but it is a Euro game. Which
Oh, yeah.
honestly, if you had a lot of Euro games look like this, more people that don't like Euros would jump into it.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, there was a couple of problems I had with it. One thing, the faction that you choose at the beginning, it matters a lot less than I thought it would. It didn't, because you don't really have to recruit from that faction.
True.
And at the end, it does affect your in-game scoring a little bit,
Ish.
but not a lot.
Like for me, it was only like 4 points.
Yeah, same here.
It wasn't like it was like 20 points. So you're right. It didn't really affect end of game scoring a lot. Yeah.
Scoring wise, it's the influence track is where it's at.
So Jacob told us towards the end of the game, he's like, hey, just so you know, if you don't spend your influence, those points at the top are victory points.
Yes.
That mattered. I think the last round I really tried to rein in my influence a lot and start building that up a lot because
Right.
that was going to help for end of game points. Yeah.
Because it's funny how you can shift because it's all about these Unity tokens. Those are victory points at the end.
And you get those, did you explain that you get those through the card drafting?
Yeah, now we're going to go to the card
Yes.
drafting too. The Unity coins I thought were going to be a big thing, but those are so overshadowed by this influence track. Like I think in Bone or whatever, I got 15.
Yeah.
And that was more than all these Unity tokens I've been collecting the entire time.
Yeah.
So it's that influence track is really where it is at.
I think next time I play this game, I would want to play it so I can work on building up my influence tracks more.
Right.
Because one of the things I thought when we came into this game, I thought it's going to be an area control game. I love area control game.
Yeah.
That's a very small part of the game.
It really
and
is.
And also, there's no, if you're there with someone else, there's no fighting. You know how Wonderland's War does that?
Mm-hmm.
There's not that, which I liked how Wonderland's War does that area control. Fighting a lot. But this is just, if you're both there, you're both there. No big deal. So the area control thing is kind of a minor point.
Yeah, and
I
that's
really do
true.
think you're right. Building that influence is the way to go.
And it's got a small cutthroat mechanic, but not a lot.
No.
And you don't have to use you can relocate different figures with different abilities and things like that. But it's not terrible.
No.
When you do that. Now I love the Celestial Tithe mechanic because at the end there's another track that goes up that tells you how much you have to all tithe.
Yes.
You have to all make sure that you have this amount
Yeah.
of ethereals or whatever. And so I like the whole hidden where everybody grabs a certain amount.
Yep.
And then they hold them out with their fist closed, and then you reveal how much you have.
Yeah.
Now, if there's one person that gives the most, because you're also losing these, you're giving
Yeah.
these to tithe.
They're gone.
But you have to make sure as a group that you all hit 8, right? So you're like, okay, I'm hoping this guy hits. If this guy gets 4, they get 4. I don't have to give any, so I can keep them for later. But the person who gets the most gets +3. And there's a tie. If there are no ties, then everybody gets 1 Unity token. And you can also lose something if you give the least. Which I love the whole closed fist reveal mechanic.
I do like that too.
That's kind of like Quacks does
Yeah.
that at the very end.
Yeah.
And I do like that. One thing I will say is there are things this needs more court cards. Because the court cards, there's a drafting thing at the beginning where you get 3 and you choose 1, you pass 2, and you keep going. And that happens every round. But the thing is, there are very few court cards.
Yeah.
So you're going to see these same court cards over and over and over. And I think that's a very easy expansion or something to add to get some more variability, get some more court cards out there.
But see, I did like how you have the chance of getting the same code cards because then you were like, okay, that worked well. Last round, I'm doing that again this round. It wasn't like you were completely, every round is a new strategy kind of thing.
And that is a good point, too. So
Yeah.
I see both sides of it. Like, there were times that I never got the tiebreaker statue.
No.
But I knew if I played it right, I would get it.
Yeah.
By the time I got it, the game ended, by the way. But so I can see both, but I
Yeah.
think other court cards, maybe even just have them to where you only have a certain amount per game.
Yeah.
And then later different ones come in. So I think on this one, I like it enough to say I think an expansion could clean up the game a little bit
Yeah.
and really take it to the next level. Because the artwork and the minis and the
amazing.
look of this game is incredible.
My feeling about this game is that if I found a good deal for this game, I would buy this. Even though we're kind of trying to downsize a little bit.
Right.
This would be one I would definitely add.
I agree too.
I really liked it. And next time Jacob wants to bring it and play it, I'll be like, yes, let's.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm pretty. So this is recommended by you?
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoyed this
All
game.
right. So we have this shelf, storage,
Yep.
or sell.
I would keep it on my shelf.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll keep it on a prominent place on the shelf
too.
as well.
Yeah.
Because it looks that good.
Yeah. And everyone at the table really enjoyed playing it too.
I agree. All right. So now do you want to go into Riverside?
I would love to. Okay, so we're talking about Riverside, which is not a Halloween game, FYI.
Yep.
Okay, so you start up by setting up the board by placing the modular tiles to form like a track.
Right.
It's actually a river, but track kind of makes sense too. All right, and then on each round you roll the 6 dice, and the medium dice is the dice that you use to move the boat along the track. So, for example, then you use one of the other 6 dice that were rolled to mark off places on your personal sheet that you're working on. And the way that sheet is, it's divided into the colors of the dice, and they're shaped like boats because you're on a river cruise, obviously. That makes sense. And then you're marking off the little seats on the boats. So, for example, if you use the yellow, which has a 3 on it, you mark off 3 yellow seats. And then when you complete a row of each color, you get that ticket, which are needed for when you go on the excursions, and you need to multiply that number that is on each excursion by the number of tickets you have.
Okay.
And then, so for example, you might have 2 pink tickets, and the excursion you let go to is 6, so you would multiply 2 times 6, which is 12. And the game pretty much goes on like that until you get to the end of the track, and then at the end of the game, you got to count up all your points. One thing I was going to add is that on your turn, wherever the boat lands, you can move 3 spaces.
Okay.
So you can go back to different excursions and
in your
stuff.
mind, you don't actually move the boat.
Yeah,
Right.
in your mind. Sorry, you don't physically move the boat, but yeah, you do that. So that is pretty much how you play. It's a very easy game to play. I was reading some reviews about this, and one thing people were saying is that the rule book was not super clear, but we did not have that problem because Kyle and Tori already knew how to play this game.
Right. And
So-
it's nice to have people. Now,
Yes.
that being said, they played the wrong way the first time.
They did indeed. They watched a video that apparently explained it the wrong way, and they would use all the dice.
All the dice instead of 1. And because here's the thing, when we started playing,
Yeah.
we were like, okay, this is cool. So then you always look on a roll and write, sometimes you have 2-sided sheets.
Yes.
So you can use both sides.
Yeah.
So I always, and this is probably something you should not do, I want to make sure I'm playing the game right, so I'll look at the back and it's been used.
I do that too.
and,
Yes.
and kind of see, okay, what kind of score are we talking about is a good score here? And they were scoring like 500-600. It's like, good
Whoa.
grief.
Yes.
But they were using all the
dice. Yes.
So-
They actually, everything was covered.
Yeah, but you
Yes.
use 1 dice.
Yeah.
And then we realized that halfway through, they're like, woof, we did this wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I feel better.
Okay, so I liked this game.
Yep.
But I also read on BGG, someone in their little description summed up my thought of this game perfectly. They said, solid game, good game. It's just not for players who are not fond of multiplication, which is me.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I did say that. I probably should just brought a calculator out. That way then I didn't have to keep
Are you talking
asking.
about the tickets? Because the tickets,
Yes.
you multiply the tickets times where you're taking an excursion.
Yes.
Like if you're at a 6 and you have 3 tickets, that would be
Yes, but
18.
yeah, I'm out after about 2. Like 6 times 2, I'm good. 6 times 3, I'm like, then we'll get the answer.
Yeah. We homeschool, folks.
Yes, isn't that
Good luck,
encouraging?
Juliet. Okay.
Anyway, but yeah. So anyway, I'm not a huge. But I feel the same way about That's So Clever too. That has a little bit of math in it too.
Right.
It's the same thing. Math is not my forte. Surprise! And so I like it that same amount of level. I still really like to play That's So Clever. I just know I'm going to suck.
See, and here's the thing. I found myself rooting for certain dice rolls.
Yes.
Like when he rolls, they roll all the die and they put them and organize them by the median, up and down. I found myself rooting for die rolls even more so than I was in That's So Clever.
Yeah.
Now, I remember playing the first time with That's So Clever. I think most people were like this. When you play that game, you're like, this is incredible, right? This is a great, great game. So we bought it. We bought the next one and we loved it. but it's fallen some for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's never one of those I get off the shelf and say, hey guys, let's play this. And I used to do that all the time. And I never knew why that was not hitting the table. But now this has kind of shown me why. This, although the theme is taped on with a boat and excursions and a cruise ship and all that stuff, this gives a bit of a theme. And there's a bit more variation. There's that ship moving around the water, and you're looking at there's different things going on that you can see. Yeah. And it gives just that variability that That's So Clever doesn't have.
I completely agree. And I do like that. And also because, like I said, how the track is modular, right? You can build a different path every time. So you do have lots of replayability in this.
And that's, I mean, it took my favorite part of That's So Clever is the cascading effect.
Yes.
When you all of a sudden will get something right, you mark it off here, then you mark it off here. Then all of a sudden, from one die roll, you're marking 10 different places across the board, right? This right here can do the same thing, that cascading, but they mix it with a theme and and that miniature boat and all this. And it's like, that right there completes it. So this right here, I think would replace That's So Clever in our collection.
I agree. I would play this over That's So Clever more. Like I am excited. I think next week we're planning on playing Hadrian's Wall, right?
Right.
And we thought, let's end the night by playing Riverside, which I made that comment.
Yep.
You know, I'm looking forward to playing this game again. Why That's So Clever we don't ever play.
No, so, and another thing about Riverside is it's quick. And I mean quick.
It is very quick.
It was halfway through the game, I realized where the boat was, and I'm like, wait, so it's going to be over soon?
Yeah.
Like, we probably have 2 more rounds. I'm like, good grief.
Yeah, it was a very quick game.
Very quick game, which is great. It makes you want to play it again.
Yeah.
And you can play it 2, 3, 4, or 5 times. Just run through it. And it's great.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. This would be another one. If I ever saw it where it was on a sale or a good deal, I would snag this one in a heartbeat.
I would too. And it's just, I think it hits that hard.
Doesn't take a lot of space up in a shelf either. I'm sorry.
No. It hits that hard to hit area where it's a good filler game. End of the night, let's just throw it out there. Let's run through it. And it's a good meaty game.
Yeah.
So if you want to play it 3 or 4 times and make that the kind of event of the night, you can do that too, and it's not weird.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. So anyway, that's Riverside. It's highly recommended by me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's definitely Riverside. All right. So now the other Halloween one we played was The Others.
Bum.
So The Others, let me tell you the whole flavor text they have.
Okay.
Because I love this. The Others, the world stands on the brink of apocalypse. As the fanatics of the Hell Club, not the Hellfire Club, that's Stranger Things, have summoned the 7 deadly sins to lay waste to our reality, as they do. Slowly, the others have crept into our lives, crept in society from within. The city of Haven is the key to their invasion, but it will not go without a fight, thanks to the actions of a paranormal organization known as FAITH, which stands for Federal Authority for the Interdiction of Transdimensional Horrors. Yeah, pretty much. All right, so every session of The Others is played with one player controlling all the forces of a single sin. So you don't use all the sins. Like you could just use pride or gluttony or lust or whatever. Against the other players that control a team of the Faith heroes. All right, so the heroes cooperate and they try to survive the sin's attacks and accomplish whatever missions. This has missions similar to Zombicide. When you look through there and you can choose what mission to go through. Like in ours, we had to remove influence tokens across the board. And you have to do it before they kill you. And then, of course, the sin player gets to then thwart you by doing different goals, and he can move down his track too, because he has a different winning condition as well.
Yeah.
So it is an all versus one game. So all versus one games are they're hit or miss.
I was going to say, sometimes they're very hit or miss.
Yeah, and it's really hard to find that group that an all versus one will hit with. And granted, I grew up on all versus one with Hero Quest and things like that. But games have evolved to the fact that you don't have a lot of all versus one.
No.
But you've got D&D that's still popular, so the all versus one mechanic is still very viable today. So this kind of hits that. So come on. So of course.
Also minis.
The minis are incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The minis are gorgeous. And the gameplay is good. It's Eric Lang. It's 2016 Eric Lang, I think, right? Is that the eight?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Old Eric Lang.
before Marvel United. So anyway, it's good. The miniatures are great. The one thing is, you don't need all sins. You can, because like this one right here, you can't. You play against 1 or 2 sins at a session, so you don't need, because a lot of people are going to not want to get this because they can't get every expansion. You don't need them.
No.
The game stands alone as it is. So what were your thoughts on it?
So my thoughts were, I felt like I needed a player sheet.
Yeah, I agree.
That would have been really helpful. I actually found one on BGG that I'm like, good, I'm going to have this ready to go. Because this game, I did really like it. I just would forget certain things because I didn't have something to remind me that that's what I needed to do.
Right.
You know, like a little playwright thing. So that would be my big thing. But I did really like it. We played Pride. So if a hero fought someone alone, they ignored one defense.
Yes.
And so that was a big thing. But we did. We almost had to split up because we got overrun.
Right.
And so we had to split up, and then that was kind of the beginning of the downfall. We lost, surprise. But I did really like that, and I liked the dice rolling and stuff. I liked it. I would definitely play this game again, you know?
The big thing is, like you mentioned, the different monsters do have different ways to play them.
Yes.
Which is a great way, which is honestly the way expansions should be.
Yeah, I agree.
It just alters the game and
Yeah.
really changes your gameplay.
Yes.
But not too much. The mechanics remain virtually the same, but the winning condition changes depending on who you're playing and a small variations. The one thing is that there's a lot of die rolls, and I mean a lot of die rolls.
There are a lot of die rolls.
When the one player will send different minions and things to you, he could be rolling 10, 11 die.
Yeah, and I didn't understand how that would happen. Because you'd be like, oh, I get to roll 6. Yay. Oh, I get 30. Wait, what?
Yeah,
Like, how?
Yes. It really starts to escalate very quickly.
It does.
As they put, because really that is one thing at the first, like you said, you didn't realize it. But then you realize the more people he puts towards you, it's easier for him. And that is one thing that kind of frustrated me, but it's also, I like it. The clusters of monsters, when the cluster of monsters gets around, they're hard to beat. But it's also very easy for the center to create. Now, he's called the one player, but I like calling him the center. But it's very easy for him to create those clusters of monsters. So it's really, really good. The big thing about this is it is tilted, I think, towards the one player. The center player, which is good.
I think so. I also thought it was interesting how the villain guy or the one play, whatever you want to call him, never has a specific turn. He's always reactionary.
Right, which is, you could tell that was an odd thing.
Yes.
It's kind of like, well, when's my turn? No, it's
Yes.
not. It's you react to everything else.
Yes.
So you find yourself mitigating what you want to do because you don't want to give him a chance to react.
Yes. That was kind of it too. And also, like during the other people's turn, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do this.
Right.
Well, then after your turn, because you were playing right before me, he would be like, oh, I know you're next. So I'm going to now go move all these people to you. Well, there goes my strategy that I had, because now I have six people in my room, and it's going to be a lot harder for me. So it was like, oh, goodness.
And
yes.
I kind of like that mechanic, especially now looking back. It kind of reminds me of the D&D. Like, have you seen if D&D worked like this in real life?
Yes.
You see people attacking and then going forward and stepping back. Like, what are you doing? Well, it's not my turn. The next person goes forward. Boom. Okay, your turn. Oh, it's that guy's turn. And it's funny how that's the way we've been programmed that games work. It's a turn-based system.
Yeah.
This one, you're right, because most games you can plan, okay, I go after her and him, so I'm going to do this. Well, if somebody goes in the middle of each of those, it is going to change what you're going to do. And that right there is, I think, what took a bit of a change in our mentality. To say, like, okay, we can't approach this from the normal lens of a normal dungeon crawl.
Yes.
Because it doesn't go in that order.
And one thing also I noticed is that my corruption, I was freely using my corruption to get like extra dice and everything.
Right.
But towards the end, all my corruption was gone. And if I was starting to take health points, and it was bad.
Right.
That was a nice added thing to it to make it a little bit more of a challenge for me to not freely go around getting extra dice.
And you don't see how that corruption is going to be a problem later because you're like,
No.
okay, I definitely would take another corruption to roll another
Yeah.
die.
Oh,
but
fine,
then
sure.
towards the end, you're like,
I cannot.
Which is the way corruption works.
I understand.
Intervention.
Yes.
But so yeah, all of
Yeah.
that to be said is you have to be, and it is tilted towards the center, but you have to be tactical
Yes.
on the all side to even have a chance.
Oh, yeah.
And that I like.
Yeah.
Because you have to come together. You've got to say, you know what, we got to do this. You've got
Yeah.
to be methodical in what you do. And it really, and there's a pride in but there's a pride in beating the game. But when you have the all versus one and you've got somebody over there that's not an AI, it's an actual person
Yes.
that is more powerful than you
Yeah.
in this game, and you can beat him. There's a sense of accomplishment when you do that, especially with somebody like Kyle, the guy we had out there, who literally all he wants in this world is to kill you when you play your game.
Yes. Oh,
That is
yes.
it. If you ask him what he wants for Christmas, it will be kill you, resurrect you, then kill you one more time.
He's the person who doesn't like cooperative games.
He's the same guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he...
There's a sense of pride in that.
Because I saw Jacob playing this game at the Gamers of the Gulf Coast
Yep.
retreat, and I was like, "That's great." And he's like, "Yeah, I did in the first round kill like 2 people,
Right.
But then I went easy and they won." Kyle did not go easy.
No.
No, he is like, "Nope,
No.
you're all going to die."
And I like even somebody asked, we put a picture of us playing it online, and people are like, hey, how was it?
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's really hard to win if you're the all. And then Kyle just gets on there and just writes, moo ha 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 ha. I mean, he just embraces it, which
Yes.
honestly, I love.
Yeah.
I love when
There's that
someone
cough
just,
again.
oh, it's coming back. I just love when somebody embraces their role
Yeah.
of just,
Yeah.
I mean, because you know where they stand.
Yes.
So that if you've got a player that likes to be that guy,
Yeah.
who likes to just be aggressive,
Yeah.
and this is it.
Yeah.
This is getting out your frustration in this one game.
Absolutely.
So
I was going to say, I feel like this podcast has a theme, but this would be another game which I ever saw it going
Yep.
available somewhere, I would snag this game. I really enjoyed this game.
I do too.
It was fun.
So that's the other, again, highly recommended.
Yep.
So, all right. So now we're going to go on to our list. It's a weird list.
Mm-hmm.
This is, we like to find different lists to go different weeks because we like to get different opinions out
Yes.
here. So this one we found, it is called the best 90s board games that defined a decade.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to go through this list, and then we might add a couple of our own at the end. So
Okay.
this is interesting because I didn't think, honestly, it's phrased weird because 90s board games that defined a decade, board games didn't define that decade, I don't think.
No.
But it was more, I don't know what defined the 90s. Hair? I don't know what it was.
PS Station? PS?
Yeah, I guess video
Yeah.
games
Yeah,
were
video
kind
games.
of king at that
Yeah.
point, which now I think board games are a bit higher. But okay, so in my opinion. All right, so here we go. The first one, 90s board games that defined a decade. First one, well, actually, I'm going to save this one for last
Okay.
because that's a big one. One was Cranium.
Yep.
I played Cranium so much in the 90s. Did you?
No. You got to remember I'm an only child.
And you were in Australia. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, good point. See that? And
Yeah.
It's, okay. So Cranium it's weird because it's a trivia game and you can choose which one you want to do. It could be trivia, or the best part was like something out of clay. Like it may make you sculpt something out of clay. And it's really fun. It's a different style of game.
Yeah.
So Cranium and Balderdash, those two were two that hit our table a lot.
Really?
So Cranium was one.
Okay. The next one is Catan.
Catan, I can see that.
Yeah.
I guess it was Settlers of Catan. So that's what it was before
Yep.
it became the Catan, I think 2015 or
The
something.
Catan that we know today.
So yeah, Catan is, I guess I can see this because this is, what do they call it? The game of our generation.
Yes.
So much going on in Catan,
Yeah.
and people are still discovering Catan.
Oh, Juliet, we were looking at our Gen Con book last night, and Juliet, there's a photo of Juliet hugging the giant sheep that was at Gen Con.
Yeah.
She's like, I just love that sheep. What game is that? I want to play that game.
Oh, this is so two things about Catan I have to
Yeah.
bring up here. First of all, Dane and Stacy, we're meeting them in November,
Mm-hmm.
and up in Orlando, and he's like, his wife just discovered the Catan. He's like, could we bring Catan? I'm like, well, yeah, we have like a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
3D printed thing
Yeah.
Catan, and this is great because Catan still holds up.
Yes.
But then on top of that, like I said, we have that nice copy of Catan, and I had a picture of it. I wasn't sure where to have it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, it's on Google Photos, but I've got 10 years of Google Photos.
Yeah.
And Google Photos, you can type people's names and they'll find them in your photos. Or you can type dog and they'll find pictures of a dog in your photos.
Which is scary.
Which is scary.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's scary? I thought, I'm going to go a little bit crazy. I am going to type Catan in search my Google Photos.
Seriously?
And I typed in Catan in Google Photos.
Yeah.
And it showed me Catan.
Whoa.
It showed me the game, not the word Catan. It wasn't reading text. It showed me Juliet hugging a sheep at Gen Con. It showed me Catan cosplayers. And then it showed me the board of Catan.
Wow. That's scary.
That is incredible. But that just shows the influence this has had, that it has been taken and put it into that AI at Google.
Yeah.
Now, it also shows that people at Google are dorks and geeks like us.
Yes.
That they
that's good
know
to know
what Catan is.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad they hit their priorities.
yeah. So anyway, so that just shows you how big of a Catan influence, not in the 90s, but really on board gaming in general has.
Still today.
So, okay.
The next one I haven't heard of before, but it's Atmosphere.
Atmosphere, or Nightmare, as it was initially called in Australia.
I've never heard of it.
No, only child.
Yeah,
So,
I was going to say, I'm an only child. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
this one I've heard a lot about. I've never played it, but a lot of people were talking. I think this is one that kind of worked with VHS tapes.
Okay.
It kind of worked with the TV, and my parents weren't really into horror games, so I couldn't play a lot of these.
Yeah.
And that was back when D&D was bad. We weren't allowed to play it. So get something like this in there, and there's no chance I could play this game. Which I think this is the one. Yeah, it was. It was successfully kickstarted, and it's going to be shipping in December of 2022. And this, I think, is
Really?
one that Gil brought up last night. We were talking about Kickstarters they still haven't gotten. And I think this is one he was talking about that he's looking forward to or almost gave up on. But that's Atmosphere. So, all right, I see that.
Okay, the other one is Magic the Gathering.
I did not know. Yep, this was out in the 90s.
Yep, I can see that. That's still relevant today.
Oh, it's so relevant today. And this is, again, one that I just played recently because
I remember as a kid being aware of Magic of the Gathering.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
Just because as a magician, you go to shops that say magic on there, and you get very disappointed when you walk in and it's this.
Yeah. No, well, I was just thinking as someone not in the magic world, but
Right.
you know, like just as a kid, you would see those decks places.
Yeah. And I think right now, and it of course, Magic the Gathering has had an impact on
everything
things you play today.
Yeah. Oh,
Everything
yeah,
you play
absolutely.
today.
Yeah.
And the other one that I was going to mention, I didn't know was the first one on this list, was Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
I did know, now of course it's just TI4, it's the fourth iteration of Twilight Imperium, and this game was released in 1993. Did not know that, and they say perhaps the best space board game of all time. Maybe, yeah, I guess as far as impact,
Yeah.
I can see that.
I would say that in terms of impact, but
Yeah. Would I grab this over any other space games? Probably not.
No.
But the impact that it had on the genre is undeniable.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, I can't imagine this coming out at a time when board games are made. See, they're not made to be. I was going to say they're made to be shorter. They're made to be less complex.
Yeah.
Not shorter, because Monopoly is just ridiculously long, the actual Monopoly game. So I guess it wasn't the length that got it, but it was the complexity of Twilight Imperium that kind of probably took the world by storm in this situation. So, all right. So what were some other 90s ones that you would add
I
to
went
it?
on to BGG and looked up best games of the 90s.
Any of them jump out at you?
Okay, El Grande.
El Grande was good. Yep.
Yep.
And then,
Okay. Ra.
I saw Raw look good on
Yep,
there.
they had that one too. And then
The Blood Bowl was on there, which I have not played.
I saw that one too. But like I said, Ra was a big one that I was I'm excited to replay that one when it's coming out.
And there's going to be an honorable mention I'm going to put on there, because this game was released in 1989.
Ooh.
But I'm just going to act like the shipping container got delayed.
Okay, and it came out in January 1990. Okay,
Because
I understand.
it has to make this list.
Okay.
Because it is my childhood, and that is Hero Quest.
Okay.
And that is 1989. For me, this pretty much defined the 90s. Because here's the thing. Although it was released in 89, it really defined the 90s for me.
Yep, I would see that.
Because, as I said, D&D was banned in our household, but I could have all my friends over, and I could play Hero Quest. And we played that all the time.
Nice.
So that right there,
Yeah.
for me, was probably the game of the 90s.
Yeah.
And you know what? The game of today, too. Because they're starting to release things right now.
Oh, yeah.
And Milton Bradley is actually realizing
They're redoing it, right?
this how great this game is.
Yeah.
And the following it has. So, yeah. So that's...
One thing that also came out apparently in the 90s, according to BGG's Warhammer 2.
a Warhammer 40K, but it wasn't the first iteration. It was the third edition.
Yep, third
that
edition.
came out. Yeah.
Yep.
So they said technically from the 80s, but that didn't in any way resemble the popular edition. Which, of course, Warhammer, as everybody knows, just changed everything.
Yep.
So anyway, that's
It's
interesting.
still around today.
Looking back at which ones of these actually held up and are great here. Tigris and Euphrates, I see, is another one on there.
Yep.
So, all right. So there's another game. If there's another one-off game that you guys played in the 90s, please let us know about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Because-
think what I played in the 90s. I played a lot of Sudoku.
Was that around the 90s?
It was around in the 90s.
Okay,
I
so you
played
did Sudoku and you don't like math?
Well, it was addition 1 to 9. I can do that very easily.
Wow. Okay.
There you go.
That's insane.
Yeah, I remember doing Sudoku. Yeah, my grandparents would get me a book every Christmas. But like I said, only child. Like that's what you kind of
okay.
did.
That's
It's kind of sad, right?
Oh, I'm just not good at Sudoku. All right. So anyway, all right. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll be having some videos coming up this week.
We will. You'll see us on the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
But again, email us
Yeah.
in and let us know your thoughts. We love to hear from you guys. Also, if we have forgot any games from the 90s, or if there's something that you played in the 90s or growing up that is
Yeah.
a retro game that maybe even is still good today, we'd like
Yeah.
to hear about it.
That'd be
But,
good.
all right. Hey, again, check us out at mainlygames.com.
Yep.
Email us at show@mainlygames.com. And thank you guys so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.